Welcome to Maury. I'm your host.
Yes, you said that last.
I know, it was planned. Well, wait, is there anyone on there so I can do the audio check?
There's one person here.
Audio check. Can you hear me?
Two people.
Can you two people hear me?
Let's work on getting this straightened out. It's just forever cricket.
They should be able to hear me.
Yeah.
All right, so, welcome. Thank you for coming. We're going to start with the things to be read at every meeting, of course, because they have to be read at every meeting. My personal favorite, caveat emptor. Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such a realm. They try, but their own bad planning brings down wrath upon their heads like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings found a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Noble Drew Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are the vanguard of the Moorish movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the roads years before, the Prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers work, where traitors grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high, catch scent, devour, and leave crying out, caveat emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above cities, plotters, purveyors, the worst that exist, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks await. Any questions on that? Great. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I'm glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is the host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now to stand found out from the nations of the earth, from the government officials and the nations of the earth, that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so that they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. At present, so we can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without the prophet being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Any questions on that? Great. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is the instruction from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they're trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Any questions on that? Great. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. Any questions about that? Great. We are for peace and not destruction. Any question on that? Great. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Questions? Great. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. No questions? Great. We're for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Questions? And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. Any questions on that? I'll just read that one more time. All true Moors will, meaning you're making a choice, and must, meaning you have no choice, obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. Right? So with nature's law, you have to eat. Right? So your will goes to the kitchen and makes you food. Right? So your will is choosing to do it, but you have no choice. You have to eat to survive. Right? So what the prophet brought to us is rooted in nature's law. That's why you will and you must obey it. Right? It's for your salvation, so it's not like it's hurting you. Like when you eat, it's not hurting you. I mean, depending on what you eat. But if you're eating to survive, then that's not hurting you. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Peace. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. So is it just the Grand Sheikh's responsibilities? No. Is it just the Supreme Grand Sheikh's responsibility? No. Why? What did the prophet say? The prophet therefore is sending out divine plea to all Moorish Americans. Not just a few, not just 3, not 7, all of us.
And not just here in North America.
Yeah, not just here in North America, exactly. That they do their part. So whatever it is you're good at, or whatever it is you learn how to do, right? In protecting their prophet, meaning he's not just the Grand Sheikhs or the Supreme Grand Sheikhs, meaning they don't own him. And their temple, meaning any temple that you go to, right? Any temple that you're paying dues to, that is your temple. So you get to dictate what happens and what doesn't happen, right? The Grand Sheikh who you elected is simply an administrator. A divine minister, the word minister means servant. So if that Grand Sheikh, Supreme Grand Sheikh, Sheikhess, Supreme Grand Sheikhess is not serving you, then they're breaching their duty to the people, which in some cases is treasonous. And in any event, if any official is found breaching their duty in any situation, it's supposed to be a trial, a fair and just trial. And if found guilty, then the punishment, is adjudicated. But if it's treason, you already know they got to go. Right? So that's why it's so important for the Moors to be competent, to be able to judge these officials in their so-called official capacities, to be able to say, you're violating the prophet because of A, B, C, D, and E. You need to either step down willingly or we'll force you down. But either way, it's the people's responsibility to hold them accountable, right? So the Europeans always try to show us as savages, right? They always try to say, well, the Aztecs were, sacrificing people to the gods and cutting their hearts out and blah, 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 and throwing their heads down the stairs. We weren't sacrificing crap to no one. When you're found guilty of treason, since you have a terrible heart because in order to violate the entire nation, that means your heart's not pure. So we'll take it out of your beating body, show the public, like, look, this is what happens when you violate our children. This is what happens when you side with the enemy, right? So we take your heart, and then we take your head, and then we throw it down the stairs for everyone to see. That's not savage. Because if we did that now, these dirty Moors wouldn't be sitting in these seats. But since they know we're so afraid to enforce our own law, their heads ain't rolling. You get what I'm saying? And of course, after a just and fair trial, then that beating heart will be taken out of their body and their head would roll down the steps, not just, well, you're guilty. A fair and just trial with evidence and multiple parties accusing you of treason or whatever it is that they're accusing you of. Right? So, now, the Moorish Imperial Divan. Does anyone know what that is? All right, so Moorish obviously is pertaining to us. Imperial means in the form of an empire. That's what imperial means, or relating to an empire. The word divan means seat or chair. That's literally what it means. So when you study, in the back of my third book, Moorish Mysticism, The Deific Man, Moorish Dominions Part 2, in the back I have several literary pieces from different newspapers during the Prophet's time. And one particular piece is called "To All Governors, Grand Sheikhs, and Head Officials of Temples." During this convention period, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said on the 7th of October that he was going to appoint 7 men tried and true and accepted by you. Right? So he's showing you in that sentence where he's going to select 7 men and women tried and true and accepted by you. He's exercising his powers as the divine constitutional monarch, meaning he's obviously divine because he's the prophet, constitutional because he's enforcing the law of our nation, and monarch because he's the supreme executive, supreme legislative, and supreme judicial body, physical form, right? So he said, since I'm a prophet, right? I know what's going on. I'm going to select people who I think are ready for this position based on their merit. And then since you're the people, you also have to agree to them. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's a divine, constitutional monarch, and the public get to choose, so it's a republican form of government. You tracking? Right? And on the very next day, Drew Ali stepped forward from the chamber room and declared that he now had his number, and that the grand body had accepted his choice in the setting of the Supreme Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali also declared that their duties, in conjunction with that of the grand body, which consists of all executive rulers, chiefs, rulers, and governors. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that both are to work hand in hand with each other, and those who act in a Supreme Council duty were to continue on with each other, and those acting as or in a Supreme Council duty were to continue on with the day-to-day functions of this divine movement. While the grand body was to intercede that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the law and is the head of this divine movement. Now the Prophet Noble Drew Ali announces the following adept chamber members would be seated on the Supreme Grand Council. Number 1, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, supreme head and supreme chairman. What does divan mean? Seat. Where does the chairman sit? Where does the chairman sit? In the seat. So he's telling you he's the Sultan. You following? The word divan means seat. The chairman, who literally is the master of the, whatever legislative committee is going on, if you want to stand up and, put something to the floor, the chair has to recognize you. Right? So he's telling you, I'm the Sultan. Right? Number 2, Brother Edward Mealy L., Supreme Grand Sheikh and Grand Governor of Temple Number 1. Brother James Lomax Bey, Supreme Grand Governor and Grand Governor, Temple Number 4. Brother Richard Ross Bey, Temple Number 1. Brother C. Green Bey, Supreme Business Manager, Temple Number 1. Brother Blackwell Bey, Temple Number 1. Sister Pearl Ali, Supreme Grand Secretary, Temple Number 1. Then Prophet Noble Ali said, "Follow me and you will be happy." The Prophet also announced that a per capita tax had been voted in by the Grand Body and concurred with by the Supreme Grand Council during the second setting of the Supreme Grand Council. So now, if you study, all right, let me just try to go backwards. You often hear people say that the United States is structured after the Moorish government, right? The United States government is has three branches: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch, called Congress, is divided in two houses. The upper house or upper chamber is the Senate. The lower house or lower chamber is the House of Representatives, right? The word Senate is derived from the Moorish Latin word seniorum, which means elder. So when you hear Moors say Council of Elders, we're talking about a Senate, right? Literally, you have to be older, I think it's like 10 years older to be part of the Senate, right? I think the age requirement for the Senate is 35, and the minimum age requirement for the House of Representatives is 25, right? And I talk about this in my fourth book that's not published yet. A lot of people don't know I'm working on a fourth book, but just to kind of give you this information because it's your information, you need to know this. Because when you see the Supreme Grand Council and the Grand Body working hand in hand, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives of the Moorish nation. That's our legislative body. You get it? So the Prophet restored us to that. So it's every Grand Sheikh's job to tell you about that, so you know how your government is supposed to be structured. So when you see, hold on, if my government is supposed to be structured like this and it's not, there's a problem. And since I'm a citizen, I might want to help to fix that, right? So now, let me read this right here. This is from, it's just called Whole Session of Moorish Science Body, October 14th at Unity Hall, 3140 Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, which right now that is used for European housing. The Moors haven't even protected it. So any Moor claiming to be, I'm Supreme Grand Temple Number 1, whatever, ask them about that. Why'd you let the Prophet's building fall into the hands of Europeans? And why is it that on the plaque of this historical building, it doesn't say Moorish anything? It says Black Church on it. But you claim to be a good Moor, and I'm in honor and alignment with the Prophet. And don't believe me, go to Chicago for yourself. It's not that far from Cook County Recorder's office. It's like 5 minutes away, or 10 minutes or whatever. Stand where the Prophet stood and ask these dirty-ass Moors, why is it that Europeans are walking in and out of this building? Right? The Prophet said, the Supreme Executive Authority will appoint a Supreme Grand Council. Right? Of which the Prophet will be the Supreme Grand Chairman. Sultan. The Supreme Grand Council will have power and duty to control and supervise all the affairs and properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And they will be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct injurious to the order, peace, interest, or welfare of the organization, or at variance with its constitution and bylaws, also the rules and regulations made by the Prophet, and shall be the sole judge of the sufficiency of the evidence by which such conduct is shown. So the Prophet is telling you, there's a bunch of Moors saying, well, the Prophet never taught that, right? They're targeting Taj, saying he's against the Prophet. Are any of them part of the Supreme Grand Council? Which means what?
They say don't matter.
What they say does not matter. And they're exercising powers that does not belong to them. Which makes that what? Color of authority. Any questions? Yes.
What's color of authority?
Color of authority means fake authority. The word color in law means fake. Like, those are pieces of an onion, right? On this picture, right? Onion leaves. Are those real onions? No, they're fake. They're colored, right? Because he painted it, they're colored, right? So they're not real onions. They appear to be onions. You know what I'm saying? That's what color means in law. That was a great question.
They appear to be onions, appearing to be flowers.
They're onions appearing to be flowers.
No, they're appearing to be onions, appearing to be flowers. So it's all colored, right? Right. So now, knowing what the Supreme Grand Council's job is, right? Let's just act for a minute. Let's put on a play, right? Let's just say I'm claiming to be the Supreme Grand Sheik, right? So if I'm claiming to be the Supreme Grand Sheik, that means I'm the chairman, right? Which means I'm the Sultan, right? Okay. Imagine for a moment I'm that person. And I say to you all, oh, when I hear those Moors over there and those Moors over there fighting, I don't get involved because I'm on this divine mission and I'm in alignment with the prophet. What did I just tell you?
You don't care about it.
I don't care about my own people. I'm not doing my goddamn job. And there's a 99% chance I'm dirty. Now, don't believe me? Go to Chicago for yourself and listen to these people. And then inspect their charter on the wall. And you tell me whose signature that is. It's not a wet ink signature. There's no proof that, when you write on a piece of paper, you see the indent from the pen. That's not there. It's red ink from a printer, not a pen. And they're saying shit like that. When those Moors over there are fighting and those Moors over there are saying these people aren't teaching, I don't get involved. But last time I checked, the Supreme Grand Council will have power and duty to control and supervise all the affairs and properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and they will be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct injurious to the order, peace, interest, or welfare of the organization. So now if you're teaching wrong and you're teaching correct, and now you're fighting each other, whose job is it to put an end to it? So now if I'm not doing that, whose head needs to be off my body? Now it is that serious. Want to know why? Because there's more saying we're U.S. citizens, which puts us under the jurisdiction of these Europeans doing business on our land, and they've been raping our children for years, right? So now if I tell you that, now your children are submitting to what I just told you, which is submitting to European imperialism over our land, robbing our resources, putting us in prison for victimless crimes, for having a plant in your pocket. You need a permit to build something on. You need permission, which is a permit, or a license, which is permission, to build something on your house, and that's not injurious?
No. Like, how could they prove that you know?
Why would you be in that seat?
To cut your.
All right, so if you don't know, that's why you have to have a fair and just trial.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, all right, step down. And it's that serious. Because there's people being locked up right now. And there's other people saying, well, that's his fault. How is a Moor getting locked up by a European another Moor's fault? When the Europeans are colonizers on our land, arresting us for victimless crimes.
Which is not a crime. It's their victim.
There you go.
We, the people, have the power to tell whomever is pretending to be in power to step down or actually put it on administrative leave for either to study some more.
No, not administrative leave, because they still get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Just leave.
Yeah.
If we think they're doing some kind of work, but they need some kind of guidance, because not all of us are going to be able to be placed in these positions of power. So if there needs to be a school or a kind of university or some kind of place for them to kind of get that information for us. I think that's necessary that we the people let them know, put them on notice, and if they don't, step down.
It's absolutely necessary that we have a school. If you study your history, every sultan had a palace school, to teach the people how to replace the next sultan, the next, council members, the next Senate members, the next representative members, because government needs to continue. It's not about one person being in charge. That's why the prophet said every temple must have a school, not sometimes have a school, must have a school, not maybe have a school, not if you want to, must. Any questions? Great. So what I have here, Prophet Noble Ali was the Sultan because he was the prophet. Meaning before him, we weren't organized to the extent that he organized it, right? The seat of the Sultan is up for election by the people, meaning not self-appointed. As is every other seat in this government. If you doubt what I just said, I'm going to read this to you from the Prophet. During the convention period, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali on the 17th of October stated that he was going to appoint 7 men and women tried and true and accepted by you, meaning you had to vote. Not just, I'm going to appoint myself as the Sultan, and then I'm going to appoint you. Oh, you won't submit to me? All right, not you. You in charge. You know what I'm saying? Additionally, we'll talk about the royal blood. I talk about this in my new book, so I'm giving you some keys because it's your information, it's not mine. Some people think that the Sultan seat can only be ascertained by royal blood, meaning you have to be of the Prophet's lineage or something like that. There are a lot of Muslim countries that do that, but that's not always the best structure of government. And there's multiple aspects as to why. When you study the 101s, the Holy Quran, my cover's ripped off because I open it a lot. The Prophet had Sultan Abdul Aziz of the Saud family inside the book. During that time period, he united Mecca and Medina, and is why Saudi Arabia is named Saudi Arabia. During his plight to unite his land, he would either fight the local beys, the rulers of each tribe, right, the heads of state. He would either fight them or unite with them. Either way, if he fought against them or they agreed, he married a woman in their family. So he has over 400 heirs. The reason why he did that was so that the next Saudi king is always of his bloodline. Right? So now he's talking about a royal family, right? Who have heir or bloodline successorship to the throne. Right? If you compare his heirs to him, you'll see exactly why it's not always a good thing to have the successorship by bloodline alone. Now, of course, they put some, different parameters as to who's going to be the next king, which I'm not going to go into because you can study that on your own. But if you look at his children or his heirs, a lot of them have several gold cars. A lot of them have, just unnecessary things, right? They're supposed to be our brothers and sisters, right? That's what our prophet said. So why they got 12 gold cars and we're over here suffering? Now, obviously, it's not their responsibility to come fight this fight for us. But what they could do is help finance some of these good organizations that are actually for our people. So instead of 4 gold cars, can you get 1? And give us some economic support so we're not in this small office space with the paint chipping off? You get what I'm saying? That's a direct result of, okay, you're royal blood, so we're going to take care of you with the treasury. that the people are funding. That don't make sense. And of course, they got not Federal Reserve notes, but they have fiat currency too. Not all of it is backed by money, backed by gold, which is money. So you see the problem. Also, additionally, the problems with royal bloodline is that if I have an heir and they're not interested in being in charge, well, then who's next? You know, they can get all the schooling. This is how you be a sultan. This is how you blah, blah, whatever. And they say, nah, I'm good. Or they could be a shitty leader. So it should always be, the seat is always available to the public. The nationals, I should say. Because they ain't no Europeans sitting at no sultan seat in the Moorish nation, not while I'm alive. I'll tell you that. I will not allow it. You get what I'm saying? So every office is subject to election and what's it called? Impeachment. There we go, impeachment. Any questions on this? So the reason why I have the people in green all around is because the people control this, not one person. No questions? None. Yes?
The governor and grand shikanute, grand governor, assistant grand, that's supposed to.
It's just instead of because this is in my fourth book, so I don't want to give everything because I want people to buy it. But this is more structured in my book. This is just like a brief. This is what it looks like. You know, just like with the United States government, they have the executive, legislative, and judicial. On the federal level, right? On the state level, it's the same thing. That's my third book, not my fourth one. It's in my fourth one, not that one.
Oh, yeah, but this is still. Before.
So yeah, the same structure on the state level is the same structure on the federal level. But since we don't have a federal government, we have a national government. The same structure it is on a national level, it should be on the state level. Right? So the reason why the United States is a federal government is because the United States consists of various European nationals. German, French, Dutch, Polish, Irish, Scandinavian. So they're not part of the same nation. Right? But since they were a part of the several colonies and they were mixed, right? Once they separated from the European crowns, they established themselves as the United States colonies and then created their Continental Congress, which was their federal government because they can't be a national one because they're different nationals. But since we're all Moors, it wouldn't be a federal government, it would be a national government. And if you doubt what I'm saying is true, upright, and exact, and independent, and fearless, read the oral statements, read the divine warning by the prophet for the nations. I'll read it in my book because I actually put annotations and highlighted things in red so Moors can actually study. Instead of saying, go study, and then not explaining it to you, because I'm not an idiot. Right? This is the divine warning by the prophet for the nations. He said, the citizens of all free national governments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The seven words in the first sentence of the first paragraph of this document is telling you, you do not have a federal government. You have a national government. Then, in the annotations, I put the definition of national government and federal government from the law book. Here it is. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, page 1176. It's right there, if you want to grab it and read along. National government. The government of a whole nation, as distinguished from that of a local or territorial division of that nation, and also as distinguished from that of a league or confederation. A national government is a government of the people of a single state or nation, meaning no European sultan, no Chinese sultan, no Saudi sultan. There can only be a Moorish sultan in the Moorish nation. Just like the only prime minister Chinese people got is Chinese. They ain't no Japanese prime minister of China. Ain't no German prime minister of China. Right? United as a community by what is termed social compact and possessing complete and perfect supremacy over persons and things as far as they can be made that lawful objects of civil government. A federal government is distinguished from a national government. What is the United States? A federal government. The prophet's telling you have a national one. So are you a citizen of the United States?
No.
Cannot be.
Well, with the 13th Amendment, the 20 sections, tells you, like,
Yep. Same thing with the Dred Scott case. Peace. You tracking? This is the information that you're supposed to be getting. To know the structure of your own government. And if you don't have it, write this down. Get the Rudder and Sextant. Pretty sure it was written by Taj Street Bay on riseofthemoors.org. You can get that for free. There was a lot of controversy when I made that information available to our people. There were certain Moors saying it's only for the pure of heart and the true and the blah, 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 which they were taking the position as gatekeeper, because now they get to decide who's pure of heart and who's not, which last time I checked, they're not Allah. Right? And this information needs to be available to all of our people, right? Because the laws of nature will dictate who's going to lead the nation. That's why the prophet said, sheiks are born, not made. Meaning it doesn't matter if you go through some adept chamber, that don't make you a grand sheik, a supreme grand sheik, or a sheik. Sheiks are born, not made. That's what the prophet said. So any more saying, well, you got to come to the adept chamber, you got to go through the Moorish system. You're lying to your face. Just like in masonry, to be a master mason, there's two ways you can go about it. Either go to the lodge and go through all their ceremonies and bullcrap, or based on your life experience and your competency, you will be a master mason. Same thing with being a grand sheik. You can go to the temple and get the information, and based on your merit, the people may or may not elect you to that position. Based on your merit, meaning what you do, right? Or you can be outside of the temple, and based on your ability to do what a grand sheik does, then you'll be a grand sheik, if the people elect you to that position. So either way, there's an election process, right? No one owns this, except for who? The people. That's why in the things we read at every meeting, he said they're trying to, test every weak mind to drag out the true foundation, meaning the minds of the people and what they know is the foundation of this movement, right? So they're trying to challenge the minds of the people to drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe, right? Then you'll hear the prophet say they're trying every scheme that they can to disqualify me so that they may take charge of the situation. Now, when I first started teaching this stuff, there was a dirty Moor who was obviously an agent named Taharka Bey who did a video about me discovering some pictures of me with a European, right? So before I knew I was a Moor, I used to date European women, right? And it was on my Facebook, so I didn't even hide it. So I don't know how they discovered it. But they did a video saying, oh, he's snatching his fez off. He's not a real Moor. He got a European girlfriend and a European son. I don't have no European son. But they do stuff like that to make it seem like, well, he's not a real Moor. As if Malcolm X didn't date European women too at first. And then he woke up and figured out who he was. Right? And then Moors like that will also say, well, and so Tarka said that about me, and now I'm talking about other Moors. They've said, Barack Obama's not a Moor. They said Malcolm X is not a Moor. Because their mothers are Europeans. When the prophet said, honor thy mothers and who? Thy fathers. So if your father's a Moor, what are you? Because last time I checked, the Europeans go off that one drop rule. If you got one drop of Moorish blood, they call you a nigger. Which, if you watch this TV show called The Borgias on Netflix, The Borgias, yeah. Yeah, the Pope, Alexander Sextus, which is Alexander VI, Rodrigo Borgia, was mixed. They called him a mulatto, and they hated them. They hated his whole family because he was mixed. Pale as day.
From Spain, too.
Mixed. You get what I'm saying? So I know I'm saying a lot, but it's all connected. Because Moors, they attack your mind at different angles to probe you, to weaken your foundation. Don't let them do it. Because it's a choice. Just like if you hear what I'm saying and you think it's the truth, you have to accept it or reject it. So these dirty Moors, if you hear what they're saying and you think it's the truth, although it might be a lie, and you accept it, then you just accepted something that's not the truth. Either way, you have to accept it. So there's certain stuff that you're going to hear that you have to compare it to what the prophet said. Not me, to what the prophet said. So you're going to be like, yo, this guy's out of their mind. Right? As another example, there was a Moor who said, I did... I got to get into character because it's just funny. I did my research, and Moors were never citizens of anything going back anciently, right? That's what this person said, and this individual is claiming to be a supreme judicial whatever, right? But in the divine warning by the prophet for the nation, he said the citizens of all free national governments. And the prophet said all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If you're a citizen of anything, that means you're abiding by laws, right? So who are you going to listen to, the prophet or this idiot saying, I studied anciently, we're not citizens of anything? Which is making you what? Stateless. Because this is how they get you. There's no dirty Moors coming in the room like, oh, I'm dirty and I'm going to trick you. Nah, you know what? We weren't citizens of anything, right? You know the prophet did teach that. Yeah, but most of our people don't have that mindset to say, prove it to these people. Because most of the time, when you talk to dirty Moors, they have a whole dirty Moor crew. So it's never just them. So imagine, right? All these people with me. All these people with me. You're going to question me in front of all of them? Most people won't.
Especially not if it's just me.
You see what I'm saying? Because if you go down to some of these temples in Chicago, there's a lot of them. Some dirty, some not. There's some people in these temples that are genuinely interested in more science. That's why the prophet told you, if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. Meaning if the person sitting in that seat is not right, the entire movement is not right. That's the power of the seat. You get what I'm saying? Not necessarily the seat, of course, but the individual sitting in the seat, and those individuals agreeing to give that person power, whether knowingly or unknowingly, based on their own incompetence or competence. Right? And the reason why we're going over this is to give you concepts of things. Because there's Moors out there claiming to be whatever, claiming to be a government, right? Claiming to be a Moorish government. And then they'll have 501c3 or 508c1a tax exempt status from the IRS, which isn't even U.S. government, but part of another government. So how does one government ask another government for tax exemptions? When? When and where do they do that? I've never seen any Japanese person, and I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, for 2 years. I never seen one Japanese person go all the way to China and ask for tax exempt status in Japan. And if you read the old statements by the prophet, he said, Moors, you are home. And Europeans is 3,000 miles away from home, which means we're at least Aboriginal and indigenous here. So why are we asking some European for some tax exempt status and claiming to be a government? And then they'll say this, well, listen, you don't understand yet. Your concepts are wrong. Let me explain it to you. Because they're trying to get you to pacify yourself up here and listen to their stupid asses to rob your estate because they're living off of your virtues. Because you keep paying into their government, and you'll see their houses get nicer, their shoes get nicer, their suits get nicer. And where you at? Any questions? So, also, if you don't know this, please write this down. Counterintelligence program. Even if you think you know, write it down. Because if you're trying to help someone else, you might forget about, other things, Counterintelligence program. And you got homework. After this class, Google search simple Wikipedia. They don't even hide it. Search counterintelligence program. And the FBI and CIA will admit to you that they kill our political leaders. They unlawfully arrest them on bogus charges. They will slander their name, claiming that, they're pedophiles like Dr. Malachi Z. York. They'll claim that they're criminals, right? Like Jeff Fort and Larry Hoover, right? When they were part of Moorish organizations. And or they'll pin Moors against each other. So let's say you're one temple, right? Y'all on this side is one temple, and y'all over here is another temple, right? The Europeans will put propaganda out there. Let's say she's the Grand Sheik, you're a Grand Sheik. They'll put in your ear, oh, she's talking shit about you. She said you a bitch. She said, ba-da-da-da-da. So now, y'all start fighting publicly. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell you. Look it up. Counterintelligence program. Then they'll also admit that part of their goal is to prevent a black messiah, which is really a Moorish messiah, that will unite the different so-called black groups and the different so-called black militias. Why? Because that's uniting the nation and uniting the military arm of said nation, which the Sultan will be the commander-in-chief of all armed forces. And then, since hopefully the Sultan will be competent, that Sultan will then direct each Moor. Every time there's an unlawful foreclosure, troops protecting that Moor's house. Anytime there's an unlawful traffic stop, Moorish Humvees pulling up to that traffic stop to make sure that that Moor does not get violated. To make sure that these Europeans don't embezzle that Moor's estate based on an unlawful foreclosure, based on failure to pay, when it's already been decided by the Supreme Court case that money cannot be used as, that fiat or private commercial paper or Federal Reserve notes or those greenbacks in our wallets cannot be used to pay off any debts. So no courts, no mortgage company, etc. can ever claim that you failed to pay with something that you can't even pay with. Nor can they claim that you owe them a debt when they never gave you anything except for a promise to give you something. Therefore, all mortgage foreclosures are really estate embezzlements, and there should be armed Moors at every other Moor's house, making sure that does not happen. Because we have the right, nature's right, to self-preservation. So if I just sit back and watch your house be foreclosed on and I know something, I'm a piece of crap. And if I don't do something, then I deserve to be in slavery. Right? That's why they don't want a Moorish messiah to unite our different military groups and our different organizations like the Nation of Islam. Because imagine if the Moors had the same numbers as the Nation of Islam. I mean, we're both Moors. It's just like the Prophet said, if the person at the seat is not right, then the entire organization is not right. So as long as there's a person sitting at the seat of the Nation of Islam and not calling us Moors and not teaching us about civics, then the entire organization is not right. Because I'll tell you right now, there are Moors, like Riza Islam and Ben X, who are part of the Nation of Islam, who know that we're Moors and have said out their own mouth that we're Moors. And you'll see videos of me and Riza Islam on the same panel, and he says, this is Al-Marak. So if you know that this is Al-Marak, you know that we need a sultan. If you know this is Al-Marak, you know we ain't black. Right? So again, look up counterintelligence program because it's a plan, a well-organized written plan to prevent our rise as a people. But guess what they can't stop? The rise of the Moors. So now what I'm about to read to you right here is the counterintelligence program, Black Nationalist Hate Groups. This is also referenced as the Black Messiah Act. So please write this down if you don't know it. Black Messiah Act of 1968. This is the FBI and CIA. This is page 2. I couldn't find page 1. This is online, so they don't even hide it. It's not even like you got to go through some adept chamber, blow the dust off, and put a retina scan and give up your life soul for this information. It states, by letter dated 8/25/1967, the following offices were advised of the beginning of a counterintelligence program against militant black nationalist hate groups. Albany, Atlanta, Baltimore, Taharka, Bay exempt, Grand Sheik exempt, Boston, Buffalo, Charlotte, Chicago. Don't think these Moors aren't infiltrated. Don't think for a second that they're not infiltrated. Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, which the prophet told you Detroit's going to fall. Jackson, Los Angeles, Memphis, New York, New Orleans, Newark, Philadelphia. But Jamal, a flag went up. Philadelphia. Are they teaching civics? But the flag went up. Are they teaching civics? But the flag went up. Are they teaching civics? Richmond, St. Louis, San Francisco, Washington Field. Each of the above offices was to designate a special agent to coordinate this program. So this ain't one person doing this. This is an organization, a detailed plan. Replies to this letter indicate an interest in counterintelligence against militant black nationalist groups that foment violence, and several offices outlined procedures which had been effective in the past. So a lot of this is like typed on a typewriter, and it's like bold, so it's hard to read a little bit. For example, Washington Field Office had furnished information about a new Nation of Islam grade school and appropriate authorities in the District of Columbia who investigated to determine if the school conformed to district regulations for private schools. So they're making it so it don't matter if you call it the Nation of Islam school, we're going to make it so you're teaching the information we want you to teach, not your own information. Which Rise of the Moors University will not tolerate any of that. In the process, WFO obtained background information on the parents of each pupil. The Revolutionary Act Movement, RAM, a pro-Chinese communist group, which communist is a compound word, community plus the suffix ist. So it's about the community, but they'll tell you it's bad, right? Because it's bad for them, right? Which was active in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the summer of 1967. The Philadelphia office alerted local police, who then put RAM leaders under close scrutiny. Well, they're sovereign citizens, right? That's what they do. They were arrested on every possible charge until they could no longer make bail. As a result, RAM leaders spent most of the summer in jail, and no violence traceable to RAM took place. The counterintelligence program is now being expanded to include 41 offices. 41. This was in 1967. 41. Each of the offices added to this program should designate an agent familiar with black nationalist activity and interested in counterintelligence to coordinate this program. This agent will be responsible for the periodic progress letters being requested, but each agent working this type of case should participate in the formulation of counterintelligence operations. And when you read the Rex 84 plan, you'll talk about they place minority leaders who are agents for the state and federal. And since I said that, I'm going to pass this around because the Indians are in on it too. So I'm going to pass this around with a certain Indian chief's signature on it. So now you tell me if they're a state agent or not. And you tell me if they serve you or if they serve at the pleasure of a European foreigner on their land. And I'll also show you this, which is a joint memorandum of understanding where they agreed, well, their ancestors agreed, to sell out their people and their land. You don't gotta believe anything I say. You can do the research. Is that clear on camera? This is the joint memorandum of understanding of 1978. And you'll see that this so-called Narragansett tribe of Indians, well, they don't call it Narragansett, they call it Narragansett because Europeans couldn't pronounce it, is a Rhode Island corporation, not an indigenous tribe, a Rhode Island corporation, which Rhode Island is a name that they branded Narragansett, and Rhode Island is a colony. Right? Then, feel free to pass this around. That's also in my second book. Right? So these people are straight sellouts. This right here is an official proclamation and letter of approval and acceptance, where this so-called Native American agrees that he's commercially known as something. So if you agree that you're commercially known as something, that means you're someone else's property, right? Okay. And if you put your red thumbprint and red signature on a piece of paper, that means you know law, right? Because you understand that red signifies the flesh and blood, living man or woman, right? So that means this person knows what's going on, right? To some extent, at least, right? Then you'll see certain things in capital letters, meaning they know what's going on, right? I'll just read it. This is in response to this. So I'm going to read this first, then their response. This is State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantation's Office of the Governor, Gina Raimondo. Now, when you Google search Gina Raimondo, she's a pale-skinned European doing business on our land. The governor of said European colony known as Rhode Island, which we are not citizens of. Right? Dated January 4th, 2016. So this is not old, right? Which is telling you this is a continuation of the counterintelligence program of 1967. Mr. Raymond Watson. Dear Mr. Watson, it gives me great pleasure to appoint you to the Outdoor Recreation Council pursuant to Executive Order 1601 to serve at the pleasure of the governor. Now I have a question for you. Can a European appoint someone in charge in China?
No,
Why?
just not.
Because that's not their land, right? I have another question, follow-up question. Can a European colonist doing business in North America appoint a position of power to any Aboriginal and Indigenous person? I'm confused. Because if that's true, then this document shouldn't exist. But since it does exist, and their counterintelligence program exists, and the Rex 84 program exists, well, they tell you they're going to appoint minority leaders to slow down our progress, then this sounds like some counterintelligence crap. And this person sounds like an agent, don't they? Okay, so let me read his response. Official proclamation and letter of approval and acceptance. Comes now, Nesu Wesuwanag. Well, I'm a Native American Indian. Here's my Native American Indian name. Commercially known as. So now you're saying you're someone's property, right? Because commerce is dealing with business and trade, right? So now you're dealing with human trafficking, right? Which these Europeans put our people in slavery, right? Which means we're their property, right? So he's agreeing to that, isn't he? Commercially known as Raymond L. Watson, which just told you what? Yes, Amasa. I's be Raymond Watson. But to my people, yeah, you know, I'm Wussuwanog. Yeah, we Native American, right? So now to your face, I'm cool with you. I'm down with the movement. But paycheck. They still think that they're Indians. They still think that they're niggers. Give me my money for keeping them in that status.
So I got mind control over Divan.
I got mind control over these Europeans. When they're around, I'll be a Rhode Island citizen. But when they're gone, I'll be Indian again. You get what I'm saying? In possession and receipt of an official certificate of engagement from the office of the governor, Gina M. Raimondo, from the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations under Executive Order 1601 for an official appointment, blah, 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 as appointed by the governor, accepted, signed, and sealed by his red thumbprint and red ink signature. Now you tell me who's dirty and who's not. Don't worry. Pass this around and take pictures. Because these people are out here being recognized by these Europeans. So now since they're being recognized, it looks like it's working. But nah, in the background, they serve at the pleasure of the governor, not for their people. Why? Because the people didn't put them in that position. The European conquerors did. So guess who they're going to serve at the pleasure of? Them, not you. And here's the governor's letter and her signature. And this is this is from the state of Rhode Island Providence Plantation Certificate of Engagement. You'll see his commercial name, which he agreed, I have a commercial name. Now, Moors, we teach you that you're not the strong man. Because that is not you. But he's saying, oh, nah, it's me. Yes, massa. I was going to do it. Right? Now, I'm doing it like that because these Europeans portrayed us to, the house Negro, and that's how they talk. Right? The counterintelligence program and these state agents, it's the same thing. So I'm trying to relate that to your mind so you can see the severity of this. That's actually in your face, and they've been telling you in the movies. Right? Just like Samuel L. Jackson, when he seen Jamie Foxx on the horse, he said, who's that nigga up on that nag? So now these dirty-ass Indians who are sellouts say, who are these Moors claiming that they're Moors? How come they're free and independent and I got to worship Massa? Well, because your signature's on this. Right? So this is a certificate of engagement. Then it says elected or appointed. It says appointed. So his Indian people didn't put him in there. Didn't put him in that position. The governor did. And then you'll see on that joint memorandum of understanding where you don't be considered a chief unless you're a descendant of that 1880 roll of sellouts. Anyway, and this person's claiming to be a chief, but I'll let you figure that one out for yourself. Appointed by the governor, appointing authority. Keyword authority. Governor Gina M. Raimondo.
That's what it says, appointed authority?
Don't worry, I'm going to pass it around. It's highlighted too, so you can't miss it. Effective date, or date of appointment, January 4, 2016. So is this old stuff, 1967 stuff? No. Expiration of term. Serves at the pleasure of the governor. Who's his boss? Sign and seal, Nesu Wasuwanog. But you'll see him on my Instagram saying, I'm not honorable. Saying I'm dirty. And he's claiming to be Indian. Yep. 2 hawks.
Oh, that's how we're U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
No, that's time.
Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
Raymond Watson, also known as Nesu Wasuwanog, also known as 2 Hawks, claims that the Snyder Act of 1942 made Indians citizens of the United States. That's his official position. Caselaw.finelaw.com, Supreme Court case of 1972, stated that Indians are wards of the United States. Ward means infant or person of an unsound mind or an incompetent person. That's what ward means. So think if you want that you're a citizen of the United States, they're telling you you're a ward. So now let me just continue reading the counterintelligence program. Counterintelligence. Mind control. You're not Moors, you're an Indian. Mind control. Goals. For maximum effectiveness of the counterintelligence program and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals are being set. Number one, prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups. In unity there is strength. A truism that is no less valid for all its triteness. An effective coalition of black nationalist groups might be the first step towards a real Mau Mau in America, the beginning of a true revolution. They call it Black Revolution. It's a goddamn Moorish revolution, excuse my language. Number two, prevent the rise of a Messiah. These are their words. Who could unify and electrify the militant black, meaning inspire them, the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm X might have been such a Messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. I just got goosebumps. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King, meaning Martin Luther King, could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, meaning nonviolence. Get it? And embrace black nationalism. Get it? Meaning Malcolm X could have been that Messiah, but since we killed him, he's a martyr. Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way. Number three, prevent violence on the part of black nationalist groups. This is of primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be a goal of the counterintelligence program. Through counterintelligence, it should be possible to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize, which is a fancy word for kill them, which is really murder or assassination. It's not killing, it's murder. There's a difference between killing and murder in the law book. Killing is with no malice or no malicious intent. Murder is with malicious intent. So if someone's violating your children in the worst way, you have the right to kill them, right? But if you just go to a store and decide to steal a few dollars and murder that person, then that's murder, not killing, right? So they plan to assassinate and kill our leaders. Just so you know, that's their plan. Neutralize them before they exercise their potential for violence, which is not really violence. The prophet said we are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course, so in any event, we have the right to self-defense. All right? Every time these Europeans unlawfully foreclose Israeli estate embezzlement on our houses and kick our people out, which I've heard stories of women, single mothers, and their children being kicked out of their homes during the winter time, and their children are younger than 5 years old. Now, you tell me what's more violent. Protecting that woman by any means necessary, or kicking a family out of their house during the winter. Which one is more violent? Because last time I checked, actually, do me a favor. All of you, please pull out your phones. If you have them, please pull it out. Go to Google, please, and thank you. Type in United States Code, or USC 1091. And whoever gets there first, please tell me what you see.
Basic offense.
What does it say?
Whether in time of peace or in time
So hold
of
on.
war.
What is it about? Did you click on it? It's about what?
Co-genocide.
Genocide. Please read it.
Basic offense. Whoever, whether in time of peace or in time of war, and with a specific intent to destroy in whole or in substantial part.
Stop right there. With the intent to destroy in whole, meaning altogether, or substantial part, meaning over time, meaning it's slow. Meaning I'm not putting a bullet to your head, I'm poisoning your water with a little bit of mercury. I'm injecting your children with a little bit of mercury. I'm kicking you out of your house during the winter. I'm locking you up for victimless crimes. I mean, if you got a plant on you and I don't like it, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. If you're not teaching what I want you to teach in your school, you're going to jail. Or I'll take your children. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it so your life is so hard that if you get pregnant, you're even going to consider abortion. And don't worry, we'll make it available to you. Don't worry, you don't got insurance? We'll pay for it. Oh, we're only doing that so your numbers don't increase. Continue, please.
A national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such kills members of that group.
Stop. What did it show you on TV? Who's shooting who in the street? Cops shooting so-called black people who are really Moors. Continue, please.
Causes serious bodily injury to members of that group.
Stop. How many times do you see them choking our people out in the street? There's a Moor here who got punched in the face by a cop. For nothing. It said physical and mental, right? Mental harm, right?
Bodily injury to members of that group.
Oh, continue. Don't worry, they're going to reach mental harm.
Causes the permanent impairment of the mental faculties of members of the group through drugs, torture, or similar techniques.
Now stop right there. Didn't they pump crack in our communities? Don't our children get scarred when they see the cops kick down our doors and take our parents? Don't our children get scarred when they see another black man killed in the news? That's not mental warfare? That's not genocide? But they're going to say black nationalist hate groups. Continue, please.
Subjects the group to conditions of life that are intended to cause the physical destruction of the group in whole or in part.
Stop. In whole or in part, meaning a calculated plan. Oh, don't worry. 1913, give us your gold, we'll give you paper. Oh, don't worry, we print all of it. So that means if you want any of it, you have to work for us. Oh, don't worry about that. We're going to increase the cost of living. So now, it don't matter how much you make, you can't afford it. Oh, don't worry about that either. We'll put you in the projects. So now we'll mix sellouts, the descendants of sellouts, with the descendants of the warriors, and now y'all going to mix. You don't even know who's who now. That's the projects. It's a project. Their project. Oh, don't worry. We'll stack you 6 stories high. So that energy is just mixing. It has no space to go anywhere else. Oh, don't worry. In Delaware, we'll put the houses this close to each other. So you feel the energy of your disgruntled neighbors. Now that affects you. Oh, don't worry. They'll keep pumping drugs in your community. And we know your nigger heirs, since you abandoned them, you sent them to our school, we're going to teach them what we want to teach them. Oh, don't worry. Read. The General Board of Education's plan of 1913. Simply Google their philosophy and they'll tell you, we're not going to teach your children anything. Just keep submitting them to us. Now you tell me, who's more violent? Us, raising in arms in self-defense, or them, who has a well-calculated plan to not only poison our water, our food, but the minds of our people, and invoke that silent weapon for quiet wars against us, and do things like, we're going to foreclose on your house. Oh, you can't afford your rent? Get out. Oh, don't worry, we'll raise the minimum wage, but then we'll raise the cost of living. Oh, don't worry. We'll admit to you during the House Resolution 25, Fair Tax Act of 2019, January 3rd of 2019, they'll admit to you that we're destroying jobs. We're destroying your families by you paying federal taxes. We'll admit that to you, but don't worry, niggers, keep paying us. As long as you keep marching and praying, and listen to these counterintelligence agents that we put in front of you, like Raymond Wissowanaag, who's going to take you to Brown University and have you march and pray, instead of teaching you about adverse possession. Instead of teaching you about the rights of indigenous people, you have the right to your lands and resources back. You don't need to march and pray nowhere. Just go to City Hall, put in your adverse possession, arm your people, and protect your land. That's all you got to do. You got to kill nobody. You don't got to march and pray. You don't got to be violent. Just train your people in self-defense. So if anyone violates what's yours, you can protect yourself like every other nation of people does. In fact, we were having a conversation at this Moore's house with a so-called black person saying, the cops don't kill Chinese people. Why? Because the Chinese people will be up in arms, protecting what's theirs. They don't call them violent. Actually, they did. They called them violent in this. You know what I'm saying? Continue, please.
Imposes measures intended to prevent birth within the group or transfers by force children of the group to another.
CPA, Child Protective Services, and what's the other thing? Planned Parenthood. Right in your face. But since you don't even know who you are, you think you're one of them. You think you're a U.S. citizen, which at a point in time I thought I was too. That's why this is so goddamn serious. Excuse my language. You're going to go to them. Oh, yeah, here's free condoms. They're free. And you can't afford to raise this child by yourself because, well, you've been to our schools. And we taught the men to disrespect you and you not to have respect for yourself. So we'll do random house inspections, make sure in the projects the male's not in the house, and we'll make sure you can get that abortion. Don't worry. It's only going to cost you a down payment. Continue, please.
Punishment for basic offense. The punishment for an offense under subsection A is, in the case of an offense under subsection A, 1, where death results by death or imprisonment for life and a fine of not more than 1 million or both.
So now right there, they're telling you that the punishment for genocide is at least $1 million. And before Malcolm X was murdered, didn't he tell you that he was going to bring the United States to the United Nations and charge them for genocide? And he was murdered shortly after that, right? And this is about the prevention of a black messiah, right? To unite our people, right? And hold them accountable, right? So do you see the actions? Do you see this laid out right in front of you? You see why our entire lives we felt something was wrong, we just couldn't explain it? Now you can explain it. Because in order to fix the problem, we have to be able to properly diagnose ourselves and find the root of said problem. Meaning, your runny nose and your cough isn't your sickness, is a symptom of your sickness. Find out what's causing it. As an example, you wouldn't go to the doctor with a tick on your hand and it's leaching your blood and say, I think I got the flu. Right? No, take the tick off. Subsequently, we would not go to the United Nations, all the nations of the world, and say we're suffering from racism, when racism is the continuation of the human species. That's not the problem. The problem is genocide. And no, racism is not part of genocide. Moors need to be racist. Meaning, we need to mate with our own people, not Europeans. That's racism. What's wrong with that? They do it. Chinese people do it. The problem is we're not racist. And all people say, well, black people can't be racist. Well, there you go. That's the problem. You don't have to read anymore. Number 4, prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability. That's why they had to slander me, say I got a European son. because they know most of our people don't even know how to think, or refuse to think, or can't think, and say, well, if you got a European girlfriend back in the day when my hair was short, not even like this, so obviously it's not the same time period. You know what I'm saying? Well, you can't be a Moorish leader. You get what I'm saying? By discrediting them to three separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting black nationalists must be handled tactically in three ways. You must discredit these groups and individuals to first, the responsible Negro community, meaning those people who work a 9 to 5 and pay their taxes. So you call them sovereign citizens and say, they think they're above the law. So those people who submit think, well, master not gonna like that. Meaning, these people should pay their taxes like I pay my taxes. Because they're afraid. Second, they must be discredited to the white community. Both the responsible community and the liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for militant black nationalists simply because they are Negroes. Third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals, the followers of the movement. So they say, I got a European son and a European wife, so that, this guy can't lead no one. Or the Moors that take pictures with Taj Street Bey and then say, people are in jail because of Taj, because Taj is teaching this stuff and Moors are going to jail. Because they're too afraid to say, these Europeans are doing this to us. Why? Because now you're looking at the oppressor right in the face. That takes balls. Some type of backbone. Some testicular fortitude, or ovarian fortitude if you're a woman. Some type of fortitude. It's easy to say, well, Taj is saying, Taj is saying these are your rights and now you're going to jail and that's Taj's fault. Not the Europeans locking you up for no reason. Because they're cowards. Right? So they just get blocked off Facebook. Don't give them any energy. Don't try to explain to them nothing. Teach those who want to learn. Don't waste your time with people. Because they'll do... I got a picture with Taj. Look at me. And then as soon as they can't do anything on their own merit, they'll say, what? That's what they do. But they'll try to do it intelligently. Well, the prophet said, I honor the prophet in chapter 25. And they'll put it on a presentment to you. Right? Counterintelligence. I love it. Because these people are cowards and they hide behind intelligence. They hide behind it. They're never in a room full of people. How come they're never in a room full of people? How come they're never in a room full of people? No one got an answer for that? How come no one's checking them? How come these people would say, jail because of Taj Street Bay and get away with it? Instead of saying, our people are in jail because these European occupiers on our have no respect for law. That's why they're going to jail. They'd rather point the finger at their brother because they're cowards and they want his position because they think he has some type of power when all he's doing is empowering the people by giving them information. But they can't even think past what's in front of them. So they say, well, he has power and I want it. If you read your Quran, you see power is fleeting. Don't chase it. It's an illusion. Empower your goddamn people to get out of the same goddamn situation they're in. Excuse me for yelling, but these cowards get on my nerves. Because all they're doing is nothing. Sitting at home and on their camera, I look great. My office looks great. Right? Not teaching the people, nothing. Claiming I'm the supreme guy. That's what they do. Who elected you? 2 people? So you're in charge of 2 people. That's the nation, 2 people. You get what I'm saying? And you'll see them And I'm telling you, you're going to see them because you're going to see them. I wish someone would have warned me. They're there and they're right in your face. And it's so subtle. That's why in the Quran it teaches you to listen to that still voice because you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. You're going to think it. They're dirty. Why are they saying that? And then the lower self is going to be like, nah, they ain't dirty. They're right. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you to make that decision based on what you know. That's why I put on these shenanigans because what I do, I'm the supreme whatever. They're doing the same thing, but they're just like, I'm the supreme. You get it? See through them. You have to.
What's the purpose they're in that position too, and why they want to be?
Because they want power over our people, not power with our people.
No, I know, but just to think yourself that
Yeah.
way, so you
Yeah,
can
true, yeah.
have a better point of view.
True. Why are they in that position? What are they doing for us? Right? Continuing. Oh, you can also tell them I said it, by the way. Jamal Talib Abdullah Bay, 23 Acorn Street, Providence, Rhode Island, on the 3rd floor. So they got questions. Don't answer on my behalf. They know where I am.
Ellie said he said it too.
Right? The last area requires entirely different tactics from the first two. Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhance black nationalists to the last group. It adds respectability in a different way. A final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of militant black nationalist organizations, meaning they want you to march and pray and that's it. Because marching and praying does nothing. When the United States was in Viet Cong, did the Vietnamese people march and pray? Oh. When Fidel Castro was leading the revolution of the Cubans, did he march and pray? Oh. Because I read a quote from him that he said, it's time to take our freedom. No more talking. Take it. Oh, that's mine? All right, cool. Adverse possession. Oh, that's mine? All right, cool. Oh, you want to take it? Good luck. But they know niggers don't do that. And then the ones that are willing to do it, the ones that are armed, they call them black identity extremists. And they're anti-government. That's what they say. But they do it more professional. Well, there's a new group called the Black Identity Extremists, and they're blah, 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 and you're looking at a European guy who's oppressing you, you're going to listen to me.
He said, Jasper, get the list.
Gunther, get up here, too. A final goal should be to prevent the long blah, blah, blah. Specific tactics to prevent these groups from converting young people must be developed. Besides these 5 goals, counterintelligence is a valuable part of our regular investigative program as it often produces positive information. Targets. Primary targets of the counterintelligence program, black nationalist hate groups should be the most violent and radical groups and their leaders, who should emphasize those leaders and organizations that are nationwide in scope and are most capable of disrupting this country. These targets should include the radical and violent-prone leaders, members, and followers of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Violent hate groups. I'm going to read the first one again. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So the FBI and CIA is targeting violent hate groups. And the first one they have is the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Meaning it doesn't matter what you call yourself. Nation Islam, Black Israelites, the Moors, I'm the ABCDEFG committee. They're watching you. Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Revolutionary Act Movement, Nation of Islam. Offices handling these cases and those of Stokely Carmichael of SNCC, H. Rap Brown of SNCC, Martin Luther King of SCLC, Maxwell Stanford of RAM, and Elijah Muhammad of NOI should be alert for counterintelligence suggestions. Instructions. Within 30 days of the date of this letter, each office should, 1, advise the Bureau, meaning the FBI, Oh, so when you see Moors taking pictures with the FBI, I'll say that again. When you see Moors taking pictures with the FBI, claiming to be part of the Supreme Grand Council, what does that tell you? Yeah, black fez, big old smile, adept chamber ribbon. Do you,
But that FBI thing when it went on?
I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, that.
Like Moore's alive presently. And this is still going on. And they got,
I think we think about the same thing.
and then hold on. Can you come up here real quick? One of you come up here.
No.
This is what they do. This is what they do. This is what they do. Divine and National Movement. They take a picture. Uplift and fallen humanity. And they got their black fez on, the adept ribbon. That's what they do. They're clowns. Right?
That's crazy.
So that's number one. Advise the Bureau, FBI, of the identity of the special agent assigned to coordinate this program. The special agent. Number two, submit a very succinct summary of the Black Nationalist movement in the field office territory, include name, number of members, and degree of activity of each Black nationalist group. Also, state your estimate of each group's prosperity? I'm not sure what this is. It's hard to read. It's like typed and there's like spaces in it. Propensity. Oh, that's an E. For violence. This is for target evaluation only. Target evaluation only, meaning take out the leaders. Not for record purposes. Second, list Rabbi Rouser Index subjects who are militant black nationalists and any other militant black nationalist leaders who might be future targets of counterintelligence action because of their propensity for violence. Include a minimum of background information on each person listed. A few descriptive sentences should suffice. Number three, list those organizations and individuals you consider of such potential danger as to be considered for current counterintelligence action. Briefly justify each target.
And a few descriptive sentences will suffice.
Yeah.
That's what
They would just really need a name and an address
I'm just saying.
to murder that person.
Stupid.
Submit any suggestions you have for overall counterintelligence actions or the administration of this program. Suggestions for actions against any specific target should be submitted by separate letter. Number five, submit by separate letter suggestions for counterintelligence action against the targets previously listed as field-wide. These should not be general, such as publicized Stokely Carmichael's travels to communist countries, but should be specific as to target, what is to be done, what contacts are to be used, and all other information needed for the Bureau to approve a counterintelligence operation. As an example, with the so-called Black Peace Stones or Peace Stone Nation, they were actually speaking with Gaddafi. Yes, Gaddafi. The Gaddafi. So they called them terrorists, and they locked up the leaders for life. And they put them in SEG for 20 years. This is what these Europeans do. And we're over here playing games. Clubbing, smoking and drinking, watching hip-hop wives of whatever, basketball wives of whatever, NFL, oh, it's whatever season. We got no armed guards on any of our leaders' houses whatsoever. None. But they're doing all of this. They got 41 offices at least. willing to neutralize any one of us that pose a threat to their administration of power. And we're just like, I think I'm gonna be a rapper. Nah, basketball player. Nah, football player. I mean, if Cardi B can rap, then I can rap. Yeah, I'll just rap. Or dumbasses like me thought I was black. Yeah, I'll just join the United States Marine Corps. This is my country. So don't think I'm exempt from this. I was a dumbass too. Watch Military Channel, which when you read the Rex 84 plan, it says to get Junior to fight in the war, and they put our people up front to kill us off. Don't worry, I'm not immune to this. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, got the tattoos, got the DD-214. I can show you my, I got the rank of E5, which is a sergeant. I can show you all the stuff. This ain't, their plan works on everyone. I ain't special. So we're busy twerking, throwing stacks of fiat on our people at a strip club. That's what the so-called men do. The so-called men. I can't speak for women because I'm not a woman. The so-called men throwing stacks of fiat at a strip club while their mother lives in the projects.
Because they want to move like movie stars, but they don't know like what's the true definition of that. There's all capitalism and all municipality want to come down in negotiation. They make that money and they use it as a commercial, as a promotion, so they get that money, that fiat back anyway. Yeah. So if you want to live like a movie star, you're gonna be broke. They're just an illusion of a mentality of a slavery mind.
Yeah. I know a dude. He was 30 at the time. He's older now. He was being evicted from his apartment. Like evicted, not paying rent. He said, "Yo, you trying to go out?" I was like, "All right." Because I had a car. He didn't have a car. I'm younger than him. So we go to the Providence Place Mall. He buys a fake gold chain. He puts this in his gold teeth. Gucci or whatever he was wearing, we go out. He got $12 in his pocket. I'm driving him around. $12. And my dumb ass thinking, he's my friend. He's a good dude. Right? Go out drinking. Yeah, I'll buy you drinks. I don't care. You're my boy. So now we're both dumbasses. You know what I'm saying?
What?
He was 30. I'm a few years younger than him. So I can't remember how old. I was probably 25, I think. I don't know. Something like that. At the time, I had a car that I thought was mine. Helped my mom pay bills. He's getting evicted, and he said, "I'm not a man because I live at home." I'm helping my mom pay bills, but I'm not a man because I live at home. But that's the mindset that we have. And my dumb ass was supporting him like, "Oh yeah, cool. You know what, maybe you're right." So while we're busy doing that dumb shit, this is what they're doing. Thereafter, on a 90-day basis, each office is to submit a progress letter summarizing counterintelligence operations proposed during the period, operations affected, and tangible results. Any changes in the overall Black nationalist movement shall be summarized in this letter. This should include new organizations, new leaders, and any changes in data listed under number 2 above. Suggestions for counterintelligence operations should not be set out in this progress letter. Use the following captions. Number 1, operations under construction. Number 2, under consideration. Number 2, operations being affected. Number 3, tangible results. And number 4, developments of counterintelligence interest. These 90-day progress letters are due at the Bureau the first day of March, June, September, and December, excepting March 1968. One more page and that's it. The effectiveness of counterintelligence depends on the quality and quantity of positive information, meaning true information, available regarding the target and on the imagination and initiative of the agents working the program. The response of the field to the counterintelligence program against the Communist Party, USA, indicates that a superb job can be done by the field on counterintelligence. Counterintelligence operations must be approved by the Bureau. Because of the nature of this program, each operation must be designed to protect the Bureau's interest so that there is no possibility of embarrassment to the Bureau. Beyond this, the Bureau will give every possible consideration to your proposal. Note, see Memorandum G.C. Moore to Mr. W.C. Sullivan, captioned as above, dated 2/29/1968, prepared by T.J.M. No, page 1 is not here. Couldn't find it. Pass that around. Any questions? You see why the seat isn't doing their job? Because there's more claiming to be Supreme Grand whatever. And those same persons taking pictures with the FBI. You see what the FBI's plan is? And then go do that Wikipedia search on counterintelligence program and they'll tell you it's effective today.
I was just about to-
Huh?
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah, Google it. Wikipedia. Google it right now.
You can't tell me, I'm just living it.
True.
That passed that in 1967.
1967, 1968, yeah. Yep. So when you see these Moors talking about the prophet is a Mason and the prophet is the agent. You see these Moors saying, Tashriq Bey, agent. You see these Moors claiming to be Supreme Grand whatever. When those Moors do that, agent.
Or stupid or not stupid, ill-informed.
Yeah, but you have indirect agents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if an agent teaches you, and you don't know that person's an agent, you might have a good heart, but you're an agent. Just like my dumbass, I served in the United States Marine Corps, which made me part of the problem.
You were-
And the problem. Because that's part of the problem.
Yeah, you was up there on the problem.
I was actually stationed in Okinawa, Japan. I was part of the 31st MU, which means Marine Expeditionary Unit, and I was on the ship, the USS Essex, before it got decommissioned. And on that ship, predominantly Asiatics on the ship. So these Europeans ain't the only ones at fault. Those Moors, who don't know it, are called Moriscos or Conversos. Because at one point in time, I was a Morisco. I didn't even know it. I thought I was black, and I thought I was a U.S. citizen, which, by having that thought process, makes me a Morisco,
I had a thought.
or an enemy of the state. Go ahead.
Shoot, I just had a thought about like AA meetings for those of us who used to be part of the problem. I was thinking the whole session you could come in and be like, hi,
Yeah.
and state your name, introduce yourself,
Yeah.
say how you.
But that's why I'll tell you. There's nothing. I already went through my mental battle. If you see my videos, I'll tell you. Ask my mother. I had my uniforms and my ribbons and my awards. Threw them in the trash. Took them out the trash. Put them back up all nice. Threw it away. That's that battle. Because I realized I was part of the goddamn problem. Which, for me, excuse me, sorry about the mic. I know they hear that. Was a hard pill to swallow, right? Because I literally had to confront myself with that. I was an agent of Rome and did not even know it, right? So now when you read, damn, what was I about to say? There was something about the prophet related to that. Dang, it was a previous point. Oh, right here. Confounded of their sins. That's what I was talking about. When I was throwing away my uniforms, taking them out, I was confronted with my sins. So it says it right here. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you'll be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. So this person, Raymond Nesuwesuwanag, He's older than me, been lying to our people for over, however old he is, I say 30, for more than 30 years that we're Indian and what, da, 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 da. Tell him we're Moors now, he has to be confronted with that. Just like when I figured out I was a Moor, I heard Tashriq Bey say from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli is about conquering the Moorish Empire, and I sung that song proudly. I was confronted with my sin. But fortunately, I had eyes to see and ears to hear and a voice to speak. So I accepted that after my battle of throwing away my uniforms and taking them out the trash. I accepted that and decided to do something good with the information that I have, which was empowering the people, instead of saying, well, I'm such a coward, I can't even confront myself, so I just might as well stay a nigger. Because the Marines did call me back and say, oh, because this is what they do. I got out as a corporal. Once I was out, I got my warrant. I'm a sergeant now, which means more money. All right? So they waited a little bit because they know most people struggle when they get out, which I did, mentally and economically, right? So hit them up in a few months. They're going to join, right? And at that time, I was already introduced to more science. That was another test. Get it? Either do what I know is part of the problem again, or deny their money, which is not really money, it's fiat, and all their bullshit promises of the few, the proud, the Marines, honor, courage, commitment, we're the best just blues ever. Right? Turn all that up and struggle like everyone else. Which I'd rather do this than that. Because at least this, I'm still me. That, I was not me. Call my mother and ask her. So, this is why dirty Moors stay in their position. Because they're rooted in it. They have to fight themselves. So, it's easier to fight someone else than to fight you. You know? Which a lot of us may have the experience of when we're trying to teach our people they're not black. They start fighting you. Because you're giving them information that's fighting themselves. So the brain is self-defense. You know, no animal is going to attack themselves. You know what I'm saying? Which subsequently makes them an agent because they're defending the ideology and the mindset and the miseducation that they know they have that the Europeans gave them. You understand what I'm saying? That's why, like in the Matrix, when Morpheus was telling Neo, you see all these people? They're your enemy too. They just don't know it. That's why I said there's some such thing as indirect agents. Any questions? I know I said a lot. No questions. Great.
You were working for, or how did you figure out what you were working for?
I watched Tashriq Bey's videos, and he broke it all down. Like, when you research the coup of 1861, which I think it's in my third book, or my second book, actually. It talks about the internal overthrow of the United States. When you study the coup of 1861, which they say Congress adjourned Sine Die, you see that's where the democracy has its establishment and its origin. Also, when you cross-reference that and study the James Monroe Doctrine of 1822, you'll see that President James Monroe warned the United States that other Europeans from Europe were trying to infiltrate the Republic. Monroe Doctrine of 1822 and the coup of 1861. C-O-U-P. Coup. Which you'll then see that a coup is what the United States does to South American countries to overthrow their leaders. I think it's in his book. Should be at least. Conference with Algiers. Oh yeah, right here. So I got this newspaper article from the Library of Congress. It is the Daily Register of July 6, 1864. Congress adjourned Sine Die, Washington, both House of Congress, meaning the Senate and House of Representatives, adjourned Sine Die, which means without day, meaning they're no longer going to convene as Congress ever again. That's what that means. At 12:30 this p.m., it is believed that all the bills passed by both houses have been signed by President Lincoln. A terrible plot discovered. It is stated on very good authority in Washington City that Mr. Stewart has prepared a grand coup to demolish the Democratic Party and re-elect Mr. Lincoln. He has invented a splendid plot, which is to be exposed, of course, in due time, going to show that the democracy are involved in a vast conspiracy to smash things generally. It is said that 1,000 pages of evidence is going to prove the existence of this terrible conspiracy, has been submitted to Mr. Lincoln, and that a well-known general once respected has lent his name to a tissue of nonsensical slander upon members of the Democratic Party. It is no secret that a vast system of espionage is being organized all over the North, and proofs will soon be forthcoming that the mails are regularly tampered with to find evidence, if possible, against persons who are inimical to the administration. Library of Congress, the Daily Register, July 6th, 1864. So that they're telling you that there was an overthrow of the Republic by Romans in 1861, which resulted in the Civil War of 1862. Abraham Lincoln had a history of defending Moors, so they assassinated him in 1865. They passed the 13th Amendment, altered with 2 sections, passed it, and created the 14th Amendment, 1868. And at that time, they destroyed the Bureau of Refugees, Abandoned Land, and Freedmen, also known as the Freedmen's Bureau, also known as 40 Acres and a Mule. They squandered all the finances and gave the Moors absolutely nothing. Which you can learn all this information from my first book, Are You Confused About Law?, which is out of stock right now. And or you can watch all my YouTube videos, because I say everything that's in all of my books for free. But you're getting it all at once in a condensed form in a book, so you got to pay for it. So you can get all the stuff for free, and it'll take you a long time, or you can get the book, and it'll take you a short amount of time. Either way, it's free. Any other questions?
You have your second book?
Yes, my second and third book are here. 40 in person. Any other questions? So, those are more. I broke down the definition of democracy, and those are more said I was reaching, meaning I was making it up to fit my agenda. If you do the etymology of democracy, the root word of demo is de, which means to separate, as in demolition. When they're demolishing a building, what are they doing? They're separating the parts of that building. They're pulling it apart, and it's falling. So it's destroying, right? So when you look up, like when you hear demonstrate, depart, destruction, democracy, demon, they all have the same root word, right? Ocracy is derived from the Greek word kratos, which means power. So a democracy is a destructive power, right? A democracy, by definition, is a destructive power. And guess what most black people are? Democrats. And guess who overthrew the Union? Democrats. And guess what the Democratic Party is? A continuation of the Spanish Inquisition waged against the Moors to destroy them. Democrats. So now any so-called black person claiming to be a Democrat is a what? Agent. They may be a direct agent or an indirect agent, meaning a person with a good heart who's sincerely trying to make some good change for us, but they're just incompetent. Like my dumbass. I really thought some terrorists bombed the Twin Towers. I really thought I was a U.S. citizen, so I really joined the United States Marine Corps. Because I have a good heart, and I was dumb. That's how it works. They take people with good hearts, and they manipulate them. Dirty Moors do the same thing. That's why there's so many Moors around them. Well, some of them. Some of them aren't at that level yet. Some of them are still on YouTube behind the camera alone. Others actually have the minds of the people.
Yeah, you have to be a specific kind of dirty to have a lot of people around you to kind
Yeah.
of circulate that energy.
Mm-hmm. Let me make sure. Let me make sure I got everything. Yeah. Any questions? I covered basically everything. No questions? None. I'm ready for them. Throw them at me. It's overloaded information. Yeah, I know. All right, so we can end it and then, of course, build off camera. We can take a break because I know I said a lot. Before we go,
Adverse possession.
great. All right. Adverse possession.
Yeah, true. Have some feedback on that.
All right. You know what a hermit crab is? All right, a hermit crab is a small crab that picks up seashells and wears it as a home. Yeah, once it gets too big for it, it drops its shell and picks up a new one. That is adverse possession. They see an abandoned shell, they look around, no one's coming for it, so they take it. If there's other crabs, hermit crabs around, they'll take it by fighting them, right? Which is hostile, right? So when you read the definition of adverse possession, you'll see the word hostile on it, because you might have to fight for what's yours, right? Right? Here's another example of adverse possession. This is mine. I'm an Aboriginal Indigenous Moor, right? You're a colonizer. You take it. I'm like, damn, I know that's mine. Oh, give me my shit. Adverse possession. Now, of course, you can fill out paperwork to be formal, peacefully. Great. We can do that. They don't have to be long. It can be, right? Same thing. We use water as an example. This is mine. You're a colonist. You take it. Boom. All right, cool. Barack Obama becomes president of the United States, signed the rights of indigenous people. I know I'm indigenous. I say, hold on. You're European. You're part of the United States. Your president signed the rights of indigenous people. So I'm going to write you a letter. This is an adverse possession / quit claim. Quit means release. So I'm telling you to release your claim of my water bottle. President Obama signed the rights of indigenous people, which means we have the right to our land and resources back. This water is my natural resource. Since you are not Aboriginal and indigenous to America, you are a European because the European colony, all the European colonies united, and now they're called the United States, which you're a citizen thereof. You're a foreigner. You therefore have 30 days to give me my stuff back, unless you can prove an equitable claim in my ancestral homeland. Period. Send that to the person who has it. So in this situation, it's you. Then same thing, put it on the county record, make sure the public knows, and then I'll wait for 30 days. If you do not respond, I'll write you a default letter. You did not respond to my blah, 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 blah. Therefore, it is mine. Give that to you. Huh?
I can say 3 days. You don't respond in 3 days.
Yeah, but, common law courtesy. Some people, they might be out of town, or working a double or triple, or they might travel for work. Give them 30-day courtesy. Notice the default. You failed to respond. You have 30 more days. Default. You do not respond in 60 days. It's mine. Take that information, county records. This is mine. Right? Problem with that is counterintelligence program. Send the cops after them. So how do we stop that? Have our own private security force. Since they don't like the word, because our people don't like the word military, because they think you're going to go to war with the Europeans. So we'll say private security force. To protect, when you claim a house, we'll protect you. In order for that to work, we have to be in the same area called a state, meaning a group of people bound together by common law, occupying a fixed territory because the land does not move.
We the people.
That is, in a nutshell, adverse possession. Which, in my office, there is adverse possession law. Excuse me, where is it? Can you hand me this?
This one?
Yes. In my office, you see the Rhode Island Superior Court recognizes adverse possession, so I'm not making it up. And of course, since we are Aboriginal Indigenous, our claim is superior to any Europeans. The only difference between us and them is they're organized, they have guns, we're disorganized, we don't have guns. And those of us who do, they're called black militias. They think that they're black. They have no nation to fight for because they have no commander-in-chief, because we refuse to have an election, because once we learn more science, we think I, me, I'm going to benefit my life alone, and that's it. Because we've been brainwashed with the concept of you can't take it when you die, so blow it all, instead of passing it to our children, which creates generational wealth. It might not happen at first, but if you keep passing stuff down, it will happen over time. And since you know you will be recreated, maybe back into your same family, you might want to set something up for yourself now, so when you come back, you have that thing that you planted. Because that's what these Europeans do. Which, don't believe me, read the front of your Holy Quran that says you will be here for many ages until you learn all your lessons. So create something for yourself now, so when you come back another age, hopefully I taught my family something so they kept it going. So now I have chain of title. So now when I come back as an infant, my dad teaches me what my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother taught him. Oh yeah, by the way, I came out the womb knowing I'm a Moor, so what's up? That's how it works. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about, like the prophet said, the children and the yet unborn. So stop being selfish. Stop thinking about you. Of course, you have to think about your life because you're alive and you're living it. But don't think that it only revolves around you. As a child walks right in. Divine timing. Any other questions? That was a great question. All questions are great questions. Even the stupid ones, because they're not stupid.
Let's check the chat, because I haven't even been looking at it.
Imagine the mic was out the whole time.
No. I've been keeping up.
That would be great. You can turn the AC on if you want. It's not plugged in.
It might just be. Can I have my phone, wherever that is, because I can't see the chat on here. I've been looking at it on my phone.
Yeah. Well, we also return next week.
Oh,
I'm still gonna be here for about a week or so.
Well, if there's ever a day that you want to meet here at the temple, we can meet you here. Just let us know what time,
Yeah.
what day.
Any day during the week.
Yeah, we usually.
All right.
Sister's call.
All right.
Anything?
Do you have her number?
Thank you.
Do you? I do. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can, I think my info is on this thing.
Peace. Thank you for coming.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
My question asker is no longer here, so someone else is going to have to take that job of asking questions.
All right, if someone asks a question, I'm going to go into the chat and see what questions people have had. They're loving your mic, by the way.
Great.
Um,
It was $200, just so you know.
we're just looking at chat questions. How does allodial title fix with that? I'm not sure what that was.
Oh, fit with adverse possession? Google
Fit, yes.
Google allodial title, and you'll see It's land held in allodium, meaning you're not responsible to pay anyone. And you will also see that you have to defend said land. Now, is paperwork going to stop an armed mercenary from kicking you off your property? No, it will not. That's how it fits in with adverse possession. Because you defending your land is what makes it so that you have it in allodium. Because, hold on, let me give you this example. Let me give you an example. Right? I'm a mighty Aboriginal and indigenous Moor, and I'm a Tokton, and I talk to the spirit and the ancestors, and my water bottle is held in allodium because I filed a lien on it, and I filed something at the county hall. Please walk up and take this out of my hand.
We just wanted to give you that.
I seen that.
What is that paperwork that allows?
Oh no! He now took my water bottle, which is my estate. I have two options. Do nothing and say, well, the ancestors in Allah got me, and the ancestors in Allah are the most powerful of planners, so this is a good thing. Or stand up, punch him in the face, and take my stuff back. Because in the Holy Quran of Mecca, which Prophet Noble Draw Ali, you can sit down, thank you. Thank you.
My grandmother's Indian.
I bet. The Holy Quran of Mecca that Prophet Noble Draw Ali suggests that we read in the Moorish historical message to all leaders, it says, paraphrasing, fight in the name of Allah those who fight you. For torment and oppression are worse than death. Then it says, paraphrasing again, if your enemy is forcing people out of their homes and you're afraid to fight and die, then die and Allah will bless you. Meaning, conquer your fear of death and fight for what is yours. The Quran of Mecca also states it is no fault of your own for you to enter a house not used for living and use it for some other purpose. That's adverse possession. That's quitclaim. That's allodial title. That's fighting for what is yours. Oh, but that's Muslim radical. All right. In the Bible, it says there's a time for war and a time for peace. A time to reap and a time to sow. A time to celebrate and a time to be tactful. All the holy books say fight. All of them. Because that is a rule of nature. It's called self-preservation. The agents tell you not to fight. The agents tell you to be passive. That's why in the FBI thing, it said if Martin Luther King would stop being so passive, he could really do something. They know what it is. In your Quran, this is speaking for Moors. In your Quran, that your prophet put together specifically for you, right? Specifically for you. For you, he said, I came to my people because they need it the most. It says, death is not an enemy to man. It's just, when you're done, your spiritual cord is cut and you return home. But these cowards will say, don't fight. The United States have all the guns and the firepower, and they have all the guns and tanks and I'll ask you again, in the Vietnam War, who won? The Vietnamese. The United States had napalm, didn't they? They had airplanes, bombs, superior guns, superior manpower, right? Who won that war? The Vietnamese. Because there's a rule that you don't fight a man on his own homeland.
The Moors.
And guess what the Rex 84 plan says? That there are cities where the minorities outnumber the white people. The only problem with that is, and they list it, we have no training and we have limited supplies. That's our problem. Because they have all the training. And I was a Marine, so I know what kind of training they got. And they have all the guns. I was a Marine, and I seen the armory. They have night vision, infrared, right? ARs, machine guns. Sappy plates, which is the stuff that stops 7.62 rounds, which is AK round. Sappy plate. That stops that. Right? 4 Marines is considered a fire team. I'm not allowed to be with 4 Marines and start a fight because I will be federally indicted. That's the type of training that these people have. So we're just like, oh, drink, twerk. Drink, twerk. Let's do that. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that sometimes. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having fun. I love having fun. But
Everything in moderation.
everything in moderation, and realize that while you're drinking and smoking and paying taxes to these people, they're colonizing your land
You have to prioritize.
and killing your leaders. Oh, but don't worry, you voted for them.
Make sure it's when I'm smoking, drink.
Smoke and drink on your off time.
Yeah, in your own time and your own government.
Which the prophet said, be like me, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but if you're going to do those things, do it at home. He didn't say you're an evil person if you do it. He said if you're going to do it, well, he said if you have to do it at home. And then he said, don't go in the bar with your fez on. Because if you get drunk and you act out of character, now you're negatively representing the entire nation. Not just you. Which the Europeans have the same mindset, because when I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, as a U.S. citizen, when I thought I was black, they said, in Japan, you are a foreign diplomat. You represent us. So don't do anything stupid to damage our image with the Japanese people. They gave us that brief. So now now that you're being introduced that you're more, everything you do and say represents our entire nation. So now, knowing that, look at these rap videos. Sips water.
You have a question? You have a question?
All right? Look at these rap videos, and then look at these people saying, the white man has to respect us as men. And look at what we're doing to our women. Who's going to respect that? No, let me just one more example. Look at Offset and Cardi B. He has his stripper wife dressing scandalously, bouncing up and down on his lap. On camera. And the video is called Do Anything for Clout. That's this man's wife. That's his wife. And he's allowing I'm not going to judge him. I'm just giving you an example of what we do and why no one respects us as black people. Moors don't do that. Well, Moors are not supposed to do that. That's what I should say. If you don't believe me, read your Quran, right? The holy instructions for marriage, husband and wife, children. None of that says have your wife bounce on your lap on camera for clout. None of it. You had a question?
Yeah, I was watching one Moorish brother, and he was saying something about, like, I didn't agree with it, but maybe I'm just not as adept at it. Saying something like, you should make an LLC of your straw name.
Now,
What is that about?
compare that to what the Prophet said. What did Prophet Noble Drew Ali said? Leave all old things as it is. Conduct all new business in your free national name. So now you tell me. Thank
I'm
you.
watching it, and this is a recent video. It came out September 10th.
Mhm.
It's up. And
Yeah.
It's at venues where Taj goes to.
Mhm.
And I'm watching, and I'm like, am I supposed to just leave that alone? Like, I mean, maybe like a bank account keep on by, by threat, duress, and coercion. We must.
All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. Just a reminder. And I'm yelling, so when you see that, alarm, Jamal yelled at me about this. This is what the prophet said.
I thought it was funky, man.
It is funky. You can smell it from a mile away. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay.
Put a lean on your straw man.
Because I'm thinking, he's like, well, 'cause when you do taxes, you're gonna get more money. And I'm
There are stories about that individual robbing Moors of significant amount of finances for helping with foreclosures.
I can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. You smell it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Great questions. Great question. Now, don't believe me. Look, always hold everything I say to what the prophet said, period. If I'm out of order, tell me. Literally, tell me. And don't be afraid to do it on camera either. Put me in check if needed. Because no one's putting these dirty Moors in check. So in order to stay clean, I'm going to need our people to put me in check. That's exactly what we do in the Marines. It's called policing each other. If you're wrong, I'm going to say something. But when your enemy is going to make a mistake, do not correct them. Get it? That's why when I see certain Moors saying things, I don't know who you are, so I'm going to let you run your destructive course. But if you show me who you are, show me that you're with the movement, not some man, show me you're with the movement, not your agenda, then I'll correct you. But once I see an agenda, don't talk to me. And don't expect me to pull you by your coattail, because you're doing that to yourself. So now, if you think that I'm in honor, and you respect me and I respect you, I'm asking you to pull me by my coattail. Don't leave me out high to dry. Don't take pictures with me 1 second and then be like, well, Jamal's doing that. Don't do that. Yeah. What does that say about your character? No one likes a fence hopper. Crew rider. Trap jumper. Bandwagoner. Temple hopper.
Fair weather friend.
Fair weather. No one likes that. You just would, and that's talked about in the Quran. It's talked about in the Quran. It's basically talking about non-believers. It's those who are not aligned with truth. Yeah, infidel, exactly. Which means unfaithful. Fidel means faithful. Like Fidel Castro. They'll say, if you lose, see, told you. If you win, we won. Fence hopper. Taj. Jamal. They do the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I felt like when I started coming to your meetings, like it was around that time, man. Like there was just so much stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. You seen it, right?
I seen it.
Yeah.
I seen it. But I mean, I'm just a guest.
Mm-hmm. So don't think it ain't real. I mean, you've seen it, so you know it's real. And because before I would be up there reading it.
That note was video now.
Huh?
That whole video, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I remember being up here reading when I first started reading this stuff, and I could see it happening. I can imagine it happening. But then it happened to me, I'm like, oh, this is real. Any other questions?
I was going to tell you to talk about Wednesday, Texas.
Yes. We will be in Texas October 26th of this year. Riza Islam might be there. Ben X will be there. Pop Darby will be there. Jamar Milton will be there. Yurima Karama will be there. and Zarpath will be there, and I will be there.
What time?
1 to 7 in Port
Perfect.
Arthur, Texas.
Okay. Well, actually, because I'm thinking of the Wednesday talks.
Well, that's a Saturday, October 26th. That's a Saturday. But for the Wednesday calls, every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, it's a Q&A for Moors. So those people who aren't here, like all of us, can get my attention directly. Sorry about that. Ask any questions you want. It is 25 notes for the month.
Sorry, that's for Patricia Rutledge, Wednesday, since you want to get in contact with Grand Sheik, Wednesday. Class, this is what he's talking about currently. Someone's saying
Yeah.
I'm ignoring their question. Thank you.
See? Never mind. Let's not get distracted off our divine mission. Wednesdays, every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. North America, Eastern time. 7 to 9 p.m. Every Wednesday.
It's 12 hours.
The password and the the phone number and the password to the call changes every month to ensure that people are paying the 25 notes. To simulate when you walk in these doors, you pay your dues to the temple, don't you? They have the same responsibility, right? Because if they want me to provide this service, just like you have to help me continue to provide the service, they have to as well. So that's why the code and the number change every month. So people aren't leeching off of what we're doing. Because it's not fair to you that someone gets my time for free when you have to compensate me for it. To keep this running. Right? It's not fair. Which the Prophet talked about that.
And also in order for this to be your full-time job.
Yeah. It takes finance to raise a nation because these people have to be compensated. This is what the Prophet said as it relates to that.
Or common sense.
The Prophet also said a servant is worthy of his hire in the front of the Quran. But this is what the Prophet said as it relates to dues and you not participating in your own salvation. This is general laws as said by the Prophet. Membership, sisters and brothers, is free. Meaning you're a Moor by bloodline. You got to pay for that. Not only here, but all over the world. Meaning every nation. The button is 25 cents. Card 25 cents. The 1 month's due is paid. Every member pays 50 cents a month for dues. This money goes towards the support of the temple. This, if not paid, does not entitle you to the protection that is provided for you, and especially if you are not working or in the position to work. If you neglect to fulfill this small duty assigned to you, how can you rightfully expect money or other help when you are sick or otherwise disabled, or if you need any civil services because you need consultation because you don't want to study? Or you just may not know and you need help. Either way, like the Prophet said in the front of the Quran, hopefully that page didn't fall out. The lessons in this pamphlet are not for sale, but are for the sake of humanity, as I am a prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire. You can receive this pamphlet at expense. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you ever get into the habit of assisting our people, some of our people will speak to you in a demanding tone as if you owe them something, when they don't even pay taxes to their own Moorish government and don't even pay for you to do it. Maybe if they pay taxes to the temple, then they may get away with it sometimes, but still approach me with respect. So if you're in this position to help the Moors, some people speak to you that way. Others will try to charge you for going over their documents, which I had a Moor ask me for help to review a document. And I said, I have to charge because you're taking some of my time. And he or she got offended. And they said that they should be charging me because I'm looking over their stuff. And I was confused because last time I checked, when you go to Walmart to buy stuff, You don't say, well, Walmart, I'm going into your store to get these chips, so you should pay me. So when dealing with our people, there are people like that. So although most of y'all are intelligent, you don't need me to say it. Other people don't know this stuff. So a servant is worthy of his or her hire. This is real.
And I just check something else. You mentioned like the prophet said 50 cents for this.
Yeah. Back 1913, guess what Moors had? Gold and silver.
So how 50 cents was worth a lot.
It was way more than
Hold on.
I just checked it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
1 ounce of silver right now is worth $800. 1 ounce of silver. So 25 cents of silver, how much is that? Who knows? Because I don't know the weight of it. But if it's an ounce, if Moors were paying an ounce of silver back then, that means $800 a month. So if Moors want to play that game, let them know what it is. You can either give me $25 or $800. Which one you want? Because Moors like to play games like that. Well, back in the day, it was only 25 cents. Okay, have you ever heard of inflation?
Our purchasing power has been gone.
Have you ever heard of stagflation?
There's no coal.
Have you ever heard of House Resolution 5404? Have you ever heard of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and 1933? You get what I'm saying? So this is how knowledge is able to. I mean, you can challenge them if you want and waste your time, or you can challenge them a little bit and put some competent things on the record so other Moors watching or listening can have some type of reference points. Or you can do what I do most of the time and ignore them because they feed off of that.
I think yours is straight, especially with fake money.
Yeah,
Sad. But hey, that's it.
great question. Any other questions? The children are playing rough, I guess.
No, but you can probably sign out.
All right, we'll sign out then. Thank y'all for tuning in. I urge you all, if you're interested in starting up your own Moorish study group or whatever, just be cautious of the people around you. Do not put your sincerity on other people because they may or may not be as interested in the movement as you.
Sincere and as genuine.
Yeah, some Moors actually just want to be in the movement for power, and they don't realize what comes with the responsibility of being in a seat. They just want the praise and attention. They don't want the responsibility. And you can hear it when you hear them speak. They'll tell you, you just have to listen. You know, Spirit always tells you, you just have to listen. Yeah, just be careful. Also, what I'm seeing a lot is a lot of Moors fighting on Facebook. Facebook is not real. Your time could be dedicated towards, studying for yourself and or helping other Moors instead of fighting with other Moors on Facebook, which gets you absolutely nowhere. And if you were actually studying your Holy Quran, it'll say that there's no compulsion in Islam, meaning you can't force people to think how you think. So even if they're wrong, you can give them the information, but don't keep giving them the information. That means they don't want it. So don't waste your time. What I personally do is I only associate with people who desire to know. Even in conversation, if I'm speaking to someone and I talk about something and they don't grab onto it, all right, then we won't go down that path. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste your time. So, thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. Be wary of these agents that are out here, because they out here. And just for the record, before we go, the Prophet told us not to speak against any group radically. So when you see me mentioning Raymond L. Watson, I'm mentioning him. Because he is an agent, not necessarily everyone who's around him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking down against those who think that they're Indian. I'm speaking against those who know that they're not Indian,
Right.
who claim to be Indian for a benefit and get appointed by some foreigner on their land. which they're claiming is their land. They're claiming that the United States, they're foreigners. They're claiming that. They also claim that they have treaties with them, which is telling you diversity or two separate nations. Right? That's what they're telling you when they say Indians got treaties with the United States. They're telling you that's two separate nations. So since you're two separate nations, that means they can't appoint you to know anything unless you submit to them. You get what I'm saying? That's why I bring this stuff up. Because when they talk about counterintelligence and they talk about putting agents in front of you to slow you down, they are not lying. And Raymond L. Watson, a.k.a. Nesu Wesuwanag, a.k.a. Two Hawks, looks just like me. Beard just like me. Hair woolly just like me. Skin tone just like me. You get what I'm saying? This is real. And they don't walk in the room saying, I'm an agent. They don't walk in the room saying, I'm going to deceive you. They don't. That's not what they do.
This is why we do this though, because there's, I mean, just using that situation with those said Indians, just applying it to all of our people as a general broad spectrum, there's plenty of us who walk around not knowing any of this information, and we're being led blindly by the
them.
leaders, and then
Who know?
and
Exactly.
who've been lying to us. Some of our so-called leaders, some of these so-called rappers who think they, oh, they're woke now. Oh, they care about black people now. No, they don't. You know how many of these people are boule or in these fraternities or in these secret societies and they're not telling you all of this information? They're gaining from it, and why aren't you?
Raymond L. Watson, Nesu Wesuwanag, Two Hawks, who's the same person. He's cool with a lot of these so-called black Masons who go to the Masonic Lodge right on Eddy Street. Which that person who was running for mayor and that person who was running for city council, who are both Asiatics, who know this information because I spoke with them, go to said lodge. And some of those Moors that were here asked me if they should go to said lodge. Then they separated from this group of Moors, tried to take some Moors with them, and now they associate with Raymond Watson and those people who go to said lodge.
And Taharka and
Oh yeah, and Tarka. And Sharif, I need whatever L from Syracuse, New York. And the guy who claims to be Moors in America, whatever his name is. Yep. And certain individuals from Chicago who have pictures with Taharka and Sharif. Like Cujo said, it's a Dirty Moor crew. Big ups to Grand Sheik, Cujo, Audible L. Well, yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Hold on, one more thing. Just one more, I promise. I promise, just one more. This is a quote by Bob Marley. I'm going to butcher it, but he said something like this. I know. Bob Marley said something like this. Something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he said, if those who are trying to destroy the world aren't taking the day off,
that's right.
then I'm not taking the day off.
That's right.
And I say this to you because there's an actual Dirty Moor crew. Organized. So if you want this to change, don't take a day off. Meaning study. And link with Moors who you think are honorable. And always challenge them. Even if you think they're honorable, ask them questions. And if they can't give you an answer, that's telling you something.
I'm pretty sure that was after he had gotten shot during one of his shows. And
Oh yeah, and then he still performed?
he still performed.
Because he's not a coward?
And they asked him why,
Yeah.
why he's going to go on.
Because Bob Marley's not a coward, that's why. And he was telling you God is the living man.
We can't take it back.
And he was telling you there's a natural mystic. Mystic means to change. The root word of mystic is mu, as in more.
Magic is just working with natural elements. Manipulating.
Get up, stand up, right? Stand up for your rights. Yeah, they assassinated him. They said he died of cancer when he smoked cannabis every day, which kills cancer. In his foot.
A lot of people say they think that
So they sent him to a hospital in Germany.
Right. A lot of people say that there were some something in his shoe that might have punctured him, that was infected with something.
They said he was playing soccer, hurt his foot, he never got it looked at, and then he got cancer. That escalated very quickly in his brain.
And then he did.
So it went from his foot to his brain,
I'm not a doctor, but
and he smoked cannabis, not weed, cannabis, religiously, and that's known to kill cancer. And he died of cancer in Germany, where they sent him to the hospital.
But that's what they do, they send you into the hospital and they say, oh, you died of tuberculosis.
But not only that,
Oh, you died of...
there's audio of him speaking from the hospital saying, I'm good. I'm coming back. And I will be performing. And all of a sudden he died. So you hear his voice, okay, he don't sound sick. He sounds good. He sounds confident in what he's saying. And he's gone. Most of the time, when we go to the hospital, we see sick people about to die, they ain't saying nothing. They're not saying anything because their life is being separate from the body, so they don't have energy to speak. Right? They don't have breath because their breath is leaving them. But, stand up for your right. Peace. Oh, one more thing. Look, see? It's not just me.
Someone was asking about the silver. They wanted to know the comparison of $800 is an ounce of silver. Where are you getting that information real quick?
Yes. usdebtclock.org. US, not United States, just usdebtclock.org. Scroll down to the bottom right. It'll say precious metals. Click on that. Scroll down to the bottom. It'll have the silver to dollar ratio of 1913 and right now, and gold to fiat ratio in 1913 to now, and you'll see silver is worth 800 Federal Reserve notes right now. Gold is around 6,000
For an ounce.
for an ounce.
Wow.
But you can get silver for around 20 notes on atmex.com, and you can get an ounce of gold for about 1,000 notes on atmex.com. But I don't have 1,000 notes.
You're
So
trading your worthless
I got
paper.
silver.
Think of it this way. Trade in your worthless paper for something that's worth way more.
800 times.
Islam.
Make a bar of gold, F it.